Hi, my name is Jim Hoggett, and we're in Coeur Open Bible Church doing some counseling with a couple from the New Testament. This is Priscilla, and this is Aquila. We've been talking about families and relationship and how to make relationships work. Recently, we've been doing a lot of shows on mental illness and how mental illness works. We introduced you to a book called DSM, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. People call it the Bible or the recipe book for psychiatrists. And in this book, it talks a lot about symptoms and how to identify if a person has a mental illness. And very often in the book, it'll give you a caution. Now, make sure that you don't attribute to this mental illness something that was really caused by alcohol and drugs, because the behavior will look very much like a mental illness. Let's talk about alcohol for a second. I used to teach in a college, and I had a medical doctor, and he was a student in my class. Now, he was taking the class because the class was called Family Systems, and he wanted to understand more about families. So I had him go to the board and write out the chemical formula for alcohol, and then the chemical formula for formaldehyde, and it was surprising how close the two of them were. When a person's drinking alcohol, they are anesthetizing their brain. They're putting the brain to sleep slowly as it goes through the process. One of the first things that will go to sleep is that part of their brain that says no to the second drink. So if they have the first drink and it puts to sleep the part that says no to the second, then they'll go on from there. Most people in AA will tell you they can't even have one drink because they know that one drink will cause them to just snowball. Part of the things that puts to sleep is socially appropriate behavior. And pretty soon they're putting to sleep their speech, and so they're slurring their words and they're walking strange, and they'll go over and grab a girl and say, "You're gonna dance with me," and they normally wouldn't do that because that's not socially appropriate. But that part has been put to sleep. Let me give you the definition of an alcoholic. An alcoholic is somebody who drinks alcohol, and eventually it is causing him problems in his health or his relationships or in his work. If that's true, we have a person who's an alcoholic. Now, most alcoholics will say, "Oh man, I haven't got a problem with alcohol. It's easy for me. I can give it up." In fact, one guy said, "It's easy. I've given up 100 times." The progression of the alcoholic disease has happened so many times, it's so documented. They watch the progression as it goes through a person's life. Now, an interesting thing happens. If a person's been drinking for 20 years, and one day they stop drinking. If they stop drinking for, say, 20 years, if they go back to the alcohol, your assumption is maybe that they would pick up where they left off. But that isn't what's true. What's true is they will pick up as if they had been drinking for that 20 years. Let's talk about marijuana. Now, some people say, "Oh, I don't do alcohol, I just do marijuana." Well, marijuana is still a very damaging drug. I don't understand why a person would say, "I'm going to take something into my body that changes the way I think." And I look back on the 60s, and when I watched all that going on with the hippies and all the pot and all the protests and everything that was going on, there seems to be a lot of paranoid behavior. There seems to be a lot of, sort of a free love thing. We can just go and have intercourse with anybody we want and call it free love, which is a way to meet your needs without the responsibility. Okay. That whole generation had that, seemed to have that one thing in common was the marijuana. The problem with marijuana, in my definition, is that marijuana carries with it a stupid pill. People who are on marijuana began to change their thinking and make decisions that are really weird and bizarre. And pretty soon you say, "Wow, what's going on with this person?" And then you notice, oh no, they're doing the marijuana. They do stuff that they would normally not do. Okay? And now we have two states that have legalized it, and we're saying, don't they realize how many people are going to be taking this stupid pill? I talked to a guy once who was defending his drug use, and he said to me, Pastor Hoggett, when I'm high, he says, I can drive so straight. I am a much better driver when I'm high. And I said to this person, and I says, how do you know that? He thinks he's driving straight, but he isn't. But he thinks he is. It changes their ideas about themselves and what's common sense and what's so obvious to everybody else. This person just can't see it. Years later, this person was pulled over by the police for driving under the influence. And I always wanted to say to him, so did he give you accommodation for driving so straight?
Good morning.
We'll pick this up next week. Thank you.